Hey there guys, what's up? It's JP here. I just washed up, had a bit of Los Angeles for my throat, and had a bit of something to drink here. And I'm back with the next part of my Whispers of the Old Gods review. So this time around, I'm going to be doing cards that I think are going to define the meta, and cards that I think are going to make a resurgence. So I'm going to call this the JP Awards, and I'm going to start off with JP uh, Awards for the cards that are just gonna fall a little too short, I think, of being really good in this expansion. And I'm gonna start off with one of my favorites actually, which is really sad to say, but I don't think this card is going to be quite good enough. But it's going to be really close to defining a new style of architect, a new type of deck, and that is Ragnaros the Fire Lord. So once again, thanks to Earthpone for uploading all of these here. Now, the reason why I put this card on my close, almost good enough, but not quite good enough, is because I feel that the control paladin is just still not getting enough to be a competitive deck. Now, I could be completely wrong here, but I just think Ragnaros alone uh, doesn't fit, doesn't, uh, it's not enough to push control paladin to be a legitimate threat in the meta. So I don't think you'll see too many of this card around. Though I would love to be surprised and proven wrong on this because I really like this card. And make no mistake, I am going to make Control Paladin with Ragnos the Light Lord. So yeah, that's the first of my honorable mentions here for going to be meta defining but not close enough. Next we're going to have something that might be a bit controversial. We have Fenrir's Stack Helm. The choose one, both cards get the effect. As powerful as this ability is, I think it's just not really powerful enough or consistent enough because you can't really make a druid deck consistently have this card and always pick one, pick one, pick one, pick one. Um, I don't think you can get it consistently enough for this card to actually redefine druid because I think druid will be steering more towards the Cthulhu theme, even more so than I believe the ramp theme. So I'm afraid this card, just as powerful as it is, it's just not powerful enough to steer it away from the Cthulhu theme or ramp, the ramp theme. Though I could be wrong, and this card could make a huge deal in the meta sooner or later. But um, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see it being an immediate threat to the meta. But we see after a few months, once the meta slowed down a little bit and it's more refined, we take a good look and see if it's what it's supposed to live up to be, right? And lastly, we have the Demented Frost Collar. Now, I think this card potentially has a lot of could redefine Tempo Mage as a class, but I could be really, really wrong on that. Again, this is why it's an honorable mention. It's just because this card itself is really, really powerful um, based off the ability and how it can work with water elementals and Frost Nova and whatnot. Frost Nova basically means you freeze all your opponents, right? Because all his minions and his face. So that's really, really, really powerful for stalling. Whether this card is good enough to see play in any tempo decks or not remains to be seen. But again, this is just an honorable mention here. I think it's just going to be not good enough um, to see play in the ladder. So unfortunately, that's the end of that. Next, we're going to give out the awards for cards that I think are going to redefine the meta. Uh, and obviously, we're going to start off with the Maya Keeper here. Like I said, Maya Keeper is going to be the new standard for all Druid decks, in my opinion, just because it's going to bridge the gap in the ramp, right? Because normally when you do ramp, you're going to turn to Nourish, well, not Nourish, but you're going to turn to Wild Growth here. We skip to turn 3 into turn 4. And then worst case is, or rather, if you have the other wild growth, you're going to turn 4 wild growth and then turn 2 hero power, right? Which is not really optimal. I mean, it does the same thing as what Mind Keeper is going to do, but Mind Keeper is a more consistent card than having 2 wild growths in opening hand. It's much more likely you're going to have 1 wild growth and 1 Mind Keeper, and Mind Keeper also has a flexibility to it where it can summon a 2/2 slime if you need the board presence early against aggressive decks. But just because it bridges the gap so well, like you can put a body on turn 4 now instead of hero power wild growth again. I do expect this to be in every druid deck, like legitimately every single druid deck. Now that combo is dead, uh, I believe druids will lean more towards the Ram theme and the Cthulhu theme. So yeah, this is probably going to be a defining new card of the druid meta. Alright, next up we have, nobody's surprised to see this, I guess, Helazil the Ascended. Now Helazil the Ascended is what gonna make Shaman competitive in my opinion, right? Because the big flaw with Shaman is that they've always struggled with healing. They never had any really good heals, and Blizzard has, I'm pretty sure Blizzard, or at least somebody at Blizzard has noticed that, which is why this weird looking cards like Vitality Totem and Healing Wave was made, because it is to address that they need more healing. And Helazil the Ascended is the solution to their healing problems. One, it's a much better body in Shaman than a heal bot, and two, it just combos so well with things like Lightning Storm and Elemental Destruction. Like with Lightning Storm, realistically speaking, worst case scenario, you're gonna kill 2 minions, kill a minion, maybe. Look at it this way, right? If it does 2 damage to 2 minions, it's gonna heal you for 4 and inflict 2 damage, which is a really big deal. If that doesn't kill the minion, Herald will finish it off, right? It is of course one-sided board clear. Obviously, if it like kills a whole bunch of 1/1s, like 5/1/1s, it's not gonna do 1 damage, right? It's gonna do 2 damage, so it's gonna heal you for 10 if it kills 5, hits 5 minions. Minimum is gonna heal you for 10, right? That's a lot of healing. And obviously we have the big one, which is the Elemental Destruction. If again, same scenario, if it's gonna hit 5 minions, it's gonna heal you for at least 20. And that's definitely going to keep you alive. And again, Helazil is not going to die from Elemental Destruction, so if you really need to finish something off, you can just run Helazil into it. And obviously the bridge between the overloads for those 2 cards can be filled up pretty nicely with the new 3/2. Or if you don't have that and you do want to craft one, you can use Lava Shot. So yeah, I feel Helazil is really what's going to push Shaman into being a competitive class once again. And not just that, it's just because it's a pretty solid body. It's also going to push Shaman up higher in the arena rankings, even if it's just very slightly. Moving on, we have the Master of Evolution. Again, this is one of those cards, together with Helazil, that's going to push Shaman into the limelight here. This card is insane value almost 100% of the time, right? It's always going to give you a better minion 99% of the time. Like once in a while you get a 1-drop and then it turns into a Doomsay and then you lose the board. But outside of that rare scenario, most of the time it's going to give you an upgrade. It's going to heal up a minion. It's going to let you trade favorably. It's going to be a really powerful 4-drop. Shaman's just got it all this expansion, and I feel that this is, and not only that, this is also the first Shaman 4-drop that is really playable. Outside of Defender of Argus, that doesn't have Overload. And you think I'm fighting you? Well, I'm not. Obviously this is one, but nobody plays this card. We're looking at Fireguard Destroyer, Dunmore Shaman, which has been played. This one, the Silkfin Spirit Walker, this has Overload as well. Nobody plays Windspeaker. So those all have overload, and even the new one, the 7/7 has overload too. So if you really think about this, is the only one that doesn't mess up with your mana curve, and it's already a tempo card to start with. So really good card. I do expect to see this push Shaman once again in both constructed and arena. Moving on, we have a surprise candidate, I think, Bloodsail Cultist. This may seem like a weird one, but I have actually just watched the video with Froden playing, and you know what? This card is pretty insane. Whether it sees constructed play or not, I'm still up. I'm still open to debate regarding that. But this is definitely going to see play in arena, where weapons and pirates are a bigger thing, and this is going to help warrior to kind of bridge that gap. Warrior has never really been a really terrible class in arena, despite what most people will tell you. I do average about 5 wins, 4 or 5 wins, which is pretty much what you expect. Um, it's definitely not like one of those decks that always gives you 3 O3s, right? So and this card's going to help a really big deal, especially with things like, since it curves well with Fiery War Axe and like, especially if you go with the go second with the coin, right? It's going to synergize well with Fiery War Axe and Bloodsail Raider, and then you play this. It's going to be insane tempo and value, and I feel that this might even translate over to constructed. But let's not get too excited about that. Don't quote me on that and say, "Oh my God, you're totally noob, you're wrong," when it doesn't happen. Because I did put a disclaimer that it might not happen in constructed, but in arena, I think this is going to help a lot. All right, next up we have one that I so desperately think will redefine playing big dragons, and that is Deathwing, the new Deathwing Dragon Lord. Like I said, despite what I said earlier in my card review about how you do want to trigger all the death rattles, or rather all the battle cries, this is a really big minion, and it's a really powerful effect. So um, again, the problem with dragons is that, yeah, you do want the battle cries to go off, but even if you don't have the battle cries, they're normally really big minions, with the exception of like the drakes, the smaller drakes. Um, so if you get to dump your handful of like Ysera's and Malagos and whatnot, you're going to be in really good shape, and I think that this Deathwing will help you push that forward a little more. Dragon Priest is already somewhat of a competitive deck, at least ladder wise, and I feel that this will help it push, just give it that extra push it needs to really keep up with the other control decks, because right now it's more of a tempo-ish deck than a control deck, right? So yeah. Next off we have Yasiraj Rage Unbound. Now this is a curious one, because initially when I looked at it, I thought, yeah, this is okay in arena, and it's gonna be okay in like control warrior. But the more I look at it, the more I think, you know what, this guy is always gonna pull out a guy for you that, if you do that really heavy control style with priest or with warrior, and even with mage, there is a really good chance that you can see a new breed of decks where it's a lot of board control, spell heavy, or like minions that just blow up the boards, like things with like of tentacles and whatnot, that keeps blowing up the boards, and that keeps wiping the boards clean every single turn. That the moment you slap this down, your opponents just cannot deal with it, and it's always going to keep pulling out a big dude for you every single turn. So I really do feel that this might help spawn of control decks, where it's uh, all removal and basically 1 or 2 minions, right? Which is kind of what we see with Reno Monkey, with the Golden Monkey Priest. So yeah, this feels like it would fit pretty well with that style of play, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Yasiraj form a new type of deck archetype, like a super heavy control type archetype. Though I'm really on the fence with that. It could have been in the honorable mentions as well, but I'm just going to give it the extra doubt, give it the benefit of doubt there and push it up. Next off, we have Nazoth. This card is going to push Hunter and Rogue back into the front of the pack, I think. Just because those are the classes that seem to have the more Death Battle centric themes being pushed for them, and this card kind of synergizes well with those Death Battle cards that I was talking about. Like the for the Hunter, we have the Savannah High Mains here. Where's Hunter? Yeah, yeah. The High Mains and the new Wolf, I think, was go really well in a bit slow control style. Hunter, which has no reason to not run things like Sylvanas and Current Blood Oath, because it's going to be a slower pace. And whether or not the support for it there is good enough is remains to be seen. But I do believe that this card will give Raptor Rogue a fighting chance in the late game because of how the problem with Raptor Rogue is that it is a very tempo deck, and they do tend to run out of steam really quickly. Or rather, not really quickly, but against the late game of a of a of a heavy control deck like Warrior and whatnot. So again, this card might just give them the extra edge to see a resurgence in Death Rattle theme decks, especially in Hunter and in Rogues. And lastly, no surprise here, we have Cthulhu himself. Cthulhu will be the new thing in the meta, I think. Just because it looks like the meta is going to slow down quite a bit, and Cthulhu is like the ultimate end all game, right? Because there's a good chance that by the time you slap down Cthulhu, it's going to do lethal damage to your opponent. So every single deck will have to keep that in mind, and every single deck that plays this, is going to be really dominant in the meta, because even if Cthulhu doesn't kill your opponent, it's going to probably wipe out his board. And I just see, just looking at the support cards for Cthulhu, it looks like Cthulhu is actually really being pushed into the front of the meta. At least from the Blizzard standpoint, this is the card they don't see people play more of, which is probably why they're giving it to even to newer players who buy the expansion, I believe. So, or whether you buy it or not, I'm not really sure, but I believe they are giving it out to all players. Whether you spend money or not, I'm not really sure, but there's a condition, whether you're playing or not, they give it to you. So this card will be the force to reckon with. I expect to see a lot of newer players play with this around, play around. Like I expect to see this in all stages of the meta, is what I'm saying, which is pretty insane because we haven't seen that since Face Hunter back in the original Unleash the Hound days, right? So yeah, that's all I have for the honorable mentions. Next, I'm going to go through some cards that I think I'm going to see a resurgence here, in because of standard format here, and I'm going to start off with the good old, where is it? Starfall. For some reason, I actually never felt that Starfall was good enough. It was good enough back in the original days of Hearthstone, but it's kind of fallen out of favor. And somehow I feel that with the new ramp system in Druids, they are going to want more removal, and I think Starfall is the way to go. I could be terribly mistaken about this, but it just feels like like the meta is going to be just slow enough that Starfall might be good enough once again. Of course, there are things like Starfire which could curve better with the new ramp system, but still, um, I guess these two is to be considered. Next is Scenarios. Once again, the late game has kind of slowed down a little bit here, with Melon out. Not that Melon is a thing, but there's no real competition for Scenarios. And Scenarios with the new Druid Legendary is really powerful, so I believe the order makes it so that you summon the elves. Huh, That's curious. Okay, anyways. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I believe that you get the ends first and then you buff them, but 3 ends first and then you buff them, but I could be wrong. So anyways, scenarios I think might actually see a comeback just based on how slow the meta is going to be. Hopefully. Another one that I expect people to see once again is Houndmaster, which has fallen out of favor. For some reason, you don't see as many Houndmasters as you used to. And yeah, that's about it for Hunter. Just because they kind of steered away from the more slower mid-rangey decks to a more aggressive style in recent times. Next is Polymorph. Polymorph, I think, is going to be the new defining hard removal for mages, just because BGH has been nerfed, Big Game Hunter has been nerfed, and Polymorph has always been, in my opinion, a better removal than or as good as a removal as BGH for very specific cards, especially against Doctor. Not so much against Doctor Boom, but against like things like Sylvanas and whatnot. Polymorph is clearly the better card. So I expect to see quite a bit more polymorphs to counter those really big minions that are probably going to be more rampant now that the meta has kind of slowed down a little bit. In terms of Paladin, I do expect to see a little bit of Guardian of Kings, just because I'm hoping that Ragnaros would push the control archetype a bit more, and with anti-heal out of the picture, this would be the new heal, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, why don't you just play Secret Pally? Because, well, honestly, Secret Pally is losing the main reason why you can play Secret Pally, and that's Avenge. Right, Avenge is the secret that makes Secret Pally, and now that it's going out, I personally just don't think Secret Paladin is going to be as viable, especially now that they lost Master for Battle, which is a huge card in their arsenal. We have this guy, the Shielded Minibot going out, we have Cog Hammer going out. You know, so much of the core of Secret Pally is going out that I just don't think it's going to be a thing anymore. So yeah, I do expect to see more of the Guardian of Kings. So this again one of the cards that I feel will see a resurgence. Next up we have where is it? Mind Control. Now honestly this may seem like a weird choice, but considering of how many big late game minions are being pushed and how slow the meta being slowed down is, I actually do think that this is a really viable option for the late game if it slows down as much as I predicted it will be. I actually did used to run Mind Control in a Dragon Priest not too long ago, and I actually did find it to be really, really good. So do expect to see a little bit more of this. I think this is actually one of the things that when playing against a priest now onwards, you probably have to keep in mind. Next up, I feel that Conceal is going to be a big thing again, which is a weird card to say, but honestly, nothing sucks more than having a really big Cthulhu and having it die the next turn, right, to like Shadow with Death. Conceal is the solution to that, and again, I do, like I did mention with the new Dragon Lord, I actually do expect Melagos Group to make a bit of a comeback here. So expect to see Edwin Van Cleef come back as well. Whether or not these guys come back or not, I will not say it's an absolute certain fact. I'll emphasize that again, but those are cards that you should keep in the back of your mind when playing on the ladder nowadays. I'm not sure if Assassin is a thing because it might be, but I sincerely doubt it would be. But it's another card I think you should keep take note of. Nothing new for Priest, I think. Let me just take a quick look here. No, it doesn't look like there's any new Priest cards. I don't think Alakir will make a comeback. I just feel that the meta is going to slow down too much that Alakir is actually bad, which is weird to say because I don't think Alakir is dependable anymore in terms of bursting your opponent down as it used to back in the day. I could be wrong though, and it could make a comeback. Just take note of that as well. It's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to make. It's quite going to make the cut here. So with the unfortunate loss of Void Collar, um, we definitely wouldn't be seeing good old Melganus anymore. Um, the card that I'm looking out for here is Siphon Soul. Siphon Soul has seen play only in Handlock recently, so it's kind of already making a bit of a resurgence here. Um, but that's not the one I'm looking at. Shadow Bolt. This is the card I'm looking for. Shadow Bolt, I believe, is going to make a comeback just because, while it doesn't quite meet the 1 damage that I did mention about, sure, with Spell Power it would. But I do believe Shadow Bolt is going to be a thing just because of Chukal, and I believe people are going to try and play Chukal or Reno style Warlocks, and Shadow Bolt is a viable option for that. Next up, we have the Warrior card here. What's it called? No. Here, Alkanite Reaper. Now, this may seem like a weird choice because um, the only reason I would consider this is because I feel not everybody's going to run 2 brawls, even though I think you should. Some people just feel it's too clunky to run 2 brawls, so I think Alkanite Reaper is going to make a bit of a comeback. Especially with the new pirate theme, I think this card is going to help push it just a little bit. It's going to get a bit of an extra push, so you might see a bit of this card as well. So take a note of that. And then we go on to the neutrals, which there's no real single neutral card out there that I feel hasn't seen play, that will see play now, other than a few, right? There is a few, but not as many as you would think, because it was 1 per class, and in the neutral spot now, I don't think it's going to be as many. One is Blood Knight, because I do expect people to try and play an aggressive paladin with the Divine Shields. I think Blood Knight is going to be the solution to that. Of course, with Blood Knight, you would think that people would play things like Argent Squires and Scarlet Crusaders, but I don't think those work well enough because they already have the 1 health and the Divine Shield. So I don't know if Magma Rage is going to be a thing because of that. Who knows, right? Technically, it is power creep from Scarlet Crusader. Just saying. Yeah, okay, so on a more serious note here, wow, actually now I think about it, Wolf Rider is going to be really powerful. So yeah, aggro paladin might be a thing, and Blood Knight will be the solution to that. Another card I think that you'll see quite a bit of moving forward would be the Senjin Shieldmaster, because the 4-drop is now pretty much fair game, and Senjin Shieldmaster has always been a consideration. The other one is Spellbreaker, which I do expect to see a lot more of, just because silence is still a necessity, and Spellbreaker's the best silence in the game at the moment, in my opinion. So there are a couple more cards here. Most of these are pretty heavy late game cards that I'm going to go through here. One, with the exception of this one, Stampeding Kodo. For some reason, my gut instinct tells me that Stampeding Kodo might actually see play again. It used to see play in Paladin, though I do believe that it might actually see play in other decks as well. Next up, we have Current Bloodhoof. With the absence of good old Dr. 7, there is one more empty big late game spot that needs to be filled, and Current is a more tempo board control style card. It fits really well with Death Rattle teams and the old gods, in my opinion, so I do expect to see quite a bit of Current. Another one is Sylvanas Windrunner. Sylvanas Windrunner has always been associated with really slow decks historically, and at one point it was seen in every deck. So do I think it's going to be seen in every deck now? No, but I do expect to see a lot more of it. Like, people will be willing to try it now that Dr. Boom is out of the way. Another one of those cards is Chromagus. I actually think Chromagus is a really solid replacement for Dr. Boom. personally, I've actually played Chromagus over Dr. Boom in a lot of my decks, just because I feel Chromagus is just so much more value if you can get his stick than Dr. Boom, because Dr. Boom just gets colored really hard by BTH. And the last few cards I'm going to go through here is Ragnaros the Fire Lord. Ragnaros would probably just be a huge force to reckon with moving forward. It does see play in 2 decks in the moment, 3 if you're really stretching, and that would be Secret Paladin, which is a weird choice, Tempo Mage, again another kind of obscure choice, and Control Warrior as a obscure choice. So although a bit odd, they do see play. Ragnaros does see play in those decks, and I expect now that with the meta slowing down even more, it's going to see a little bit more play. And the last one is Ysera. I think Ysera has always been one of my favorite legendaries, and it does see play in Control Warrior and Dragon Priest, and there's no reason why you wouldn't see play now that Dr. Boom is out of the picture. The general reason why Dr. Boom is not a thing anymore, or rather, Ysera was not a thing anymore, is because Dr. Boom kind of does that at a lower mana cost. So yeah, keep an eye out for those cards. There is one card here that I'm really skeptical about that I'm going to mention anyways, and that is the Black Knight. Now the only reason why I say I put this card on this list, or rather off of this list, but I'm going to let you guys keep an eye out for it just in case, is because the most powerful Cthulhu deck at the moment is going to be, in my opinion, Druid, right? And well, it's close between Druid and Rogue for me, but it leans more towards Druid. So if Cthulhu Druids or any ramp Druid is a thing, Black Knight is the solution to those decks, because those decks are just going to ramp up and they're going to drop huge taunts one after another, left, right, center. And guess what? Sylvanas deals with that really well, and so does Black Knight. So keep an eye out. Black Knight is also the ultimate counter to Sagoth, right? Slitherer, right? So keep an eye out for these guys. Hopefully, this video has helped you guys pick out a few cards for your deck tacking, and I hope I'll see you guys on the ladder. It's JP signing out.